The Everyday VOpreneur podcast summer series is all about you, the Everyday VOpreneur. It's about giving you the advice and the guidance you need and are asking for. So every week this summer, I'm inviting a voice actor onto the show and giving them an opportunity to ask their most pressing business and marketing related question and get it answered live. And this week, I'm welcoming to the show Terry Briscoe. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Marc.
So what is your most pressing business and marketing related question?
I would like to know, other than coaching, because that is the most obvious answer.
Okay.
What is the smartest investment that someone beginning out should invest in?
Okay. So, we took coaching off the table. Let's take demos off the table too. We'll group all of that together, right? Because we know that we need those things. So if I'm looking back at the early days of my business and thinking, what didn't I know at that point that I wish I had because it would have helped me to get to where I wanted to go faster? I think there are a couple of things that come to mind. First and foremost, I think, is my CRM. I wish that I had started with the CRM 4 years or 5 years sooner. I did not have a good system in place, but I was constantly growing my database because I was always reaching out to new leads. I'm always adding new people into the mix. But there comes a point when your database gets large where if you don't have a way to manage it, you're just going to forget people. You're going to forget leads. You're going to forget prospects. You're going to forget clients. You're going to forget to reach out. And by forgetting to reach out, I think ultimately you run the risk that you're leaving money on the table because if you're forgetting them, they're probably forgetting you too. And so I really wish that I had taken the time to truly understand what a CRM was, what it could actually do for my business, and recognize that a CRM was an investment in my business. And I think that's another big distinction because when you're starting out, there are a lot of things to spend money on. I'm sure you're probably figuring that out by the time you invest in coaching and building a studio and getting your demos done, attending a conference, all of these different things. There are a lot of places to spend money, and you can look at a CRM and think, like, that's another $25 a month that I really don't want to invest because I've got all these other things. But I think that $25 pays for itself multiple times over every month in what it does for your business by helping you to stay organized, helping you to be more efficient and more effective with your marketing, and making sure that you're not forgetting about the people that you need to be maintaining contact with. So I would say that's probably one of the things. And the other one that I've been thinking a lot about, I came from radio. And in my background in radio, I did a lot of work on the production side. I was using Adobe Audition before Adobe Audition was Adobe Audition. It was actually Cool Edit back in the day. And using it for however long it had been, many, many years that I had been using it, I thought I knew the software pretty well. I thought I knew what I needed to know in order to be able to edit and deliver voiceovers efficiently and effectively. What I came to realize was I knew how to do the things that I needed to do in Cool Edit / Adobe in order to be able to do the stuff that I needed to do for the radio station. But that was all I really knew. And so when I made the investment in my 2-hour life-changing session with Uncle Roy, where he walked me through Adobe Audition, I realized very quickly there's a lot of stuff that I was clueless about in that software. And a lot of the things that I was clueless about were things that were going to save me a ton of time. Learning spectral view was one of the greatest revelations of my life. You're shaking your head like if I feel like you've been there, done that, learned that, experienced that.
With Roy.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, spectral view, where have you been all of my life? And why did I not know about you a decade ago, right? And you've worked with Roy, so he's got your keyboard shortcuts set up, right? I'm assuming?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm like, KCD8 done. Like, that's it, right? Cut out the stuff that doesn't need to be there, my mistakes or whatever. Once I've got my voice track, it's like KCD8 done. Like, the amount of time that has saved me. And I think what we fail to realize is, 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there, 20 seconds, even 30 seconds on an audition, it doesn't feel like a lot of time. But when you think about how many auditions you might be recording over the course of an average day, and then you factor that out over the course of a week, over the course of a month, over a course of a year, 30 seconds here and there, that all starts to really add up.
It does.
And then, if you start, do long form narration, do e-learning or audiobooks or things of that nature, the amount of time that he was able to save me in editing out those long form files, right? I was, it might take me, I might have went from a 4-to-1 ratio to a 2-to-1 ratio as far as, the amount of time that I spent editing versus how long the file was. And so that was a huge, huge difference maker over time. I just wish that, again, that's something that I wish that I had figured out a lot sooner. And I wish that I had made that investment a lot sooner, because that's all time that I could have gained back over those years that I could have been putting into other things. And I mean, we're selling our sound, right? Ultimately, we're selling our sound. So we need our sound to be great. So those are definitely a couple of things that I think that would have been solid investments looking back that I wish I had figured out sooner.
Yeah, I think the CRM was definitely number one on my list, and I never would have ever thought that would have been my answer. But now I'm still learning how to make sure that I maintain a CRM properly, because it's just not in my nature for that to be something I enjoy doing. So,
Yep.
But I am now seeing the incredible value in organization that it offers you.
Yeah. And there's a massive learning curve that comes with CRM, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why people tend to avoid it, is because they don't want to have to try to figure out that learning curve. I think that, it's frustrating to sit down with it and have to try to figure it out. It's frustrating to sit down and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together. It's frustrating to spend all this time doing something that maybe you've already been doing all along and trying to figure out before. And so taking the time to properly learn how to use the system, investing in the system in the right way, I just think that it's a massive, massive game changer when it comes to ultimately being able to grow your voiceover business and do things the right way. The amount of time that I can take, knowing that at any given moment I can go into my database and I can look up an exact segment, an exact audience segment that I want to reach out to. For example, I can narrow it down. I got a new commercial demo comes in. Let me find my commercial leads or my commercial prospects or my commercial clients. Let me send them a group message. Now I can see the last time that I emailed them, and I know exactly what I sent a message to them. And it just allows me to be so much more targeted and intentional. And so I think it's something that, and look, the other thing, and I've talked about this before, the sooner the better. Because when I started with the CRM, I already had thousands of people in my database. That is not the time to be starting out with the CRM, because ultimately you got to go through every single one of those people and enter all of the necessary data points for every single one of those people in order for your CRM to work the right way. You want to talk about misery? That was 6 months of complete and sheer misery while I was setting that up. And so that's one of those things where I wish if I had known sooner and started out when my database was 100 people, it would have made my life so much easier. And so I think those are some non-traditional investments, right? We know we've got to spend money on coaching. We know we've got to spend money on demos. We know we've got to spend money on getting our studio set up right and all of that sort of stuff. But those are a couple of things that I think that we may not always think of, or we may think that we can just keep kicking that can down the road a little while until there's a little bit more money to be able to invest. But I think those are some that the sooner that you invest in those things, I think they're things that will pay for themselves pretty quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nothing costs more than time. And all of those things that we just mentioned save you time.
Absolutely. And that's the difference, right? What is your time worth? What do you value it at? Do I value the amount of time that a CRM can save me? Do I value that amount of time greater than the $25 a month that I pay for the CRM? Yes, I do, right? And so that's an investment that's going to pay for itself in the long run. So hopefully, it sounds like you've already made those two investments, though. So it sounds like you're already moving in the right direction.
Well, I mean, I'm at Ask Me Anythings every Friday, Mark.
So at least it's sinking in, right? It's sinking in and we're getting you moving down the road in the right way. And I mean, look, that's why I do all of this anyway. I already made all the mistakes. So let me tell you about all the dumb things that I did so that you don't have to do those same dumb things and you can get to where you want to be so much faster. And it sounds like you're taking the steps to get yourself there.
I'm trying. I do some dumb things still, but you know.
So do I. All right, Terry. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and for asking your question. And I hope that that's been really helpful for you. And I certainly do appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Mark. I appreciate it.